Hello everyone, my name is Sahrai, although you can call me Marshmello, because from now until the end of YouTube, I'm your white, soft, and squishy overlord, even though I'm a brown skinned girl. Today's video is going to be a draw this in your style speed paint. I will be taking 5 characters off of different social media platforms and I will be drawing them in my style. I have always admired draw this in your style challenges because it's fascinating to me how you can take one character that looks scary and mysterious and turn it into something that's cute and cartoonish. So I've always wanted to just take part of that, and I thought it would be pretty good for a video idea. Also, while I draw these characters, I will give out the credit to the original creators, and I will be talking about the things that were easiest and the most difficult for me to draw. I will also be giving out small details about the character, like name, sexuality, age, gender, which are very important keys when it comes to drawing a character. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this speed paint and then we'll get started. First character up, his name is Sahrai Peppermint, and he is 20 years old when it comes to counting in human years, but in angel years he is 7,000 years old. This character is a fallen angel. He never really knew the meaning of being an angel, so it's safe to assume that he did some pretty bad things that made him get demoted. He has little horns over his halo and angel wings, and you'll see that in a moment when I finish the sketch. When drawing this character, the hardest thing for me to do, I must say, was probably the line art and everything, which you'll see later on. The easiest thing was pretty much the sketch, which is normally the hardest thing for me, so I actually really liked that when I did this drawing. When it came to drawing his figure, I didn't really know what to do, but then I did like a little bit more research and I found a reference, which you saw in the corner when I was sketching, and I learned a little bit more about him. His sexuality is gay and he is a pretty shy person, so that's why he has the pose that he has now, and he has like a small little smile on his face. He is also an OC that was based off of Bendy and the Ink Machine, so that's kind of why he has the style that he has now. He has a boyfriend, his name is Levi, and I think they're pretty cute together. When drawing this character, I wanted to sort of do the same thing that the creator did. He or she or they, whatever, I'm not really sure what the gender is. When they created this character, they sort of had like a lineless art with it, and I wanted to recreate that. So I just did a few tweaks and everything, and I ended up doing it. I liked how there was a limited color palette that made coloring a lot easier than I expected it to be. The wings were the hardest thing for me to do, so I looked up the references that he had on his page and I just went off based off of that, but I made the wings a little more pointy. The shading and the coloring, I believe I did pretty well on that. It took me a while, but I got it. My favorite thing to color was definitely the shoes and the background. I love tossing in different blues and just mixing it up. The next character is literally unknown. I tried talking to the artist a few times to get any information about him, her, or they, and I never got a reply. So this character, or everything that I'm going to say about this character, is going to be theorized. I met this artist on Amino. As you can see on the reference photo, there's a green slab underneath the photo that says Amino. So that's the place where I met this artist. This character is a furry, and I'm assuming that they are a tiger. They like to sing, that's one thing that I realized, and their age and name and everything I'm not really sure, but yeah. I want to say his name would be Tyler, because that's sort of what he looked like to me. A few mistakes that I made when drawing this character is that I didn't give it enough care, especially with the hair and with the mane around his neck. I didn't pay too much attention to the character, which was a fault on my behalf. I thought it was just like a boa, like a small detail around his neck, but no. Later on, I realized that this was a part of his mane, and I made 2 attempts at this. I went back and I fixed it, don't worry. So the first attempt, I wanted to keep the pose like that, and I wanted to make him singing because he was singing in the reference photo I was given, and I really liked that idea a lot, so I wanted to keep it. I feel like he would be a theater kid. The song that he's singing was a part of a musical number that I did with a few of my classmates when we graduated middle school years ago, so I just thought theater kid when I first saw him. I wanted to make his clothes seem to like flow with his body movements because I think of it as he's giving a performance while he's on stage. That's what I like to think, at least. When drawing his pants, his jeans, that was the hardest thing for me to do. The fur and his skin was actually pretty easy. I knew what I wanted to do, and I didn't know how to do it at first. I looked up a few references as I tried to draw this character, but not many things helped, so I ended up having to just improvise. My favorite thing to do was definitely the ears and the tail. I'm not too good or keen on drawing hair at all, so that did not come out how I wanted it to. The bandages often looked silver, and I wanted to redo them so they looked more like bandages. I feel like I did pretty well on the clothing, on his gloves, and on his pants and shirt. I feel like those were like the best things that I did. The stripes on his face I definitely needed to redo because I drew them as if they were flat, and I needed to fix that. The background was probably one of my favorite things to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do at first, but then I figured it out. I ended up fixing it later on. After that, I went and I wanted to reuse the same pose, so that's what I did. I just traced over it a little bit so that way I could use the same pose and everything and change things a little bit. I feel like his shirt wasn't as flowy enough. I just didn't feel comfortable with the whole drawing, period. I wanted to fix a few things. First off, his hair bugged me the most because I knew I struggled with drawing his hair, and I didn't put forth as much effort as I should have. I tried redrawing his hair, and it actually came out better the second time. I tried to make it look as droopy as I could in a way. Everybody's hair is different, but I have friends whose hair really just drip down when they're wet, and I think he's a theater kid, and theater kids are giving out their all when they're performing on stage. So I wanted to make it seem like he was sweating, and even though it sounds gross, and it is, the sweat goes into your hair and it makes your hair all long and wet and stuff. And the only reason why I know that is because my hair does the same thing sometimes. Instead, it causes shrinkage. So I wanted to do that. I wanted to go back and fix the mane around his neck because I realized that it was a part of his fur. And then I wanted to fix the vest because it didn't look right. I also wanted to fix, like I said before, the stripe on the side of his face because it didn't look right. It looked flat. It didn't look like it went around on his face. I feel like I did better the second attempt, and that's why I kept this one instead of the first. Another reason why I decided to keep the second one was just because I felt like it just connected with me a little more. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's like you do a drawing and you like it so much and then you sort of resemble it. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like, I'm a theater kid myself, so when it comes to performing and singing and dancing and everything like that, I know what it feels like to be in that moment, and I know what it feels like to just be doing those actions and everything. So I felt like a little bit of myself was in this character because it's a theory that we share the same enjoyment and we share the same future career, possibly. Another thing that I enjoyed though was definitely doing the background, even though it was like sort of the same thing with the broken lights that I added at the end and the coloring. I wanted the coloring to be the same, but I didn't know how to do it. I didn't remember how I did it last time, so I struggled a little bit with that, but eventually I got it down. The next character that we have today, her name is Wolfie, and she is actually infinity years old. I thought she was 18 at first, but no, I must have read something wrong. This character is female, as you can probably tell. She's a two-tailed wolf. She's bisexual. She is 5'3" in height, so she's pretty short, or the average height for females at least. Okay, so when drawing this character, I didn't really know what I wanted to do at first. All I remember was I saw this character come up on my feed and I didn't even know I was following this account. She popped up on my recommended at first from one of my friends who follows her, and I thought her OC was pretty cute, so I was like, okay, if I can get a little bit more information from this account, I could probably draw her for a challenge and everything. So I messaged the artist and I did my best to see if I could learn anything about her. And at first it was a not safe for work page, but then I followed both her pages and I started doing more research about her character. I found her not safe for work page first, and this is where I first saw her character, Wolfie. She is not heavy set, but she does have body, and I want to say she has a little bit of chunk, but not much is seen because her clothing is baggy, so I wanted to incorporate that. I did this twice, but I only did liner and then I went back to redo it. As I did more research on her page, I saw a drawing she did where she is standing next to her OC and they are both waitresses in Playboy bunny outfits, and I thought that would actually help show out her body more, and I thought it would be pretty cute for the redraw, so I decided to go with that instead. For the redraw, I thought that I could give her a seductive look, sort of, but I didn't know how to do that, so I kind of just gave her a winky face with a smirk, and that did it for me. The tails were actually my favorite part to draw, along with the outfit. I wanted to give her sort of like a pixie cut haircut that was a little neater, because if you look at the references that I had in the corner a moment ago, it seems that she already had a pixie cut, but I believe that's just fur. When drawing this character, I did really like the fact that she was wearing the outfit that she did, and she didn't really need bunny ears because she has ears herself. I wanted to change the colors up a little bit. I noticed that she had a choker in her first reference, so I decided to incorporate that in her drawing, but with a different color. When drawing her, there's a rose on the side of her thigh. I decided to use that because when I first followed her Not Safe for Work page, there was a rose on the side of her character's thigh originally, and I decided to incorporate that in the drawing. For her outfit, I wanted it to be a little silky, and I tried my best to show that in the outfit, and I think I did a pretty good job with that. Coloring the fur and her hair was actually the most difficult part for me because, as I stated before, coloring skin and fur is not really my thing. It's a little difficult for me, but I'm learning, and I actually think that came out pretty well. I changed the colors up a bit with her straps on her thigh and her choker to make it look better, and I added a background to match her cute and adorable looks and personality. The next character that we will be drawing is Sharon. She is a cat, and the artist that drew her, I have actually admired them for quite a long time now, so this is actually more of a fan art, but it's still a Draw the Senior style. Her name is Sharon, like I said before. She is a cat. She is 16 years old, and she is 1.52 centimeters tall. I believe that's 5 feet in inches. When drawing this character, I had a lot of fun because this is actually something that matches my original style in a way. The character is a part of the fandom of Sonic the Hedgehog, so most of her drawings were based off of that. So that's one thing that made this kind of easy to draw, but at the same time it made it a little difficult. I like the fact that she had a limited color palette because that helped me a lot. I didn't have to worry about coming up with colors and everything that would help with this drawing in particular. The figure that she had was actually easy for me to draw because I sort of have a similar style to this, except that my characters have bigger chests and bigger hips. So this was actually pretty easy for me to draw, and like I said before, normally the sketch is the hardest thing for me to draw, so I really liked that about this character. The hair was actually the hardest thing for me to draw though, because her hair sort of goes out and then curls in, and it's still pretty floofy. But it was hard for me to do that in a way. I didn't really know what I wanted to do for her outfit. It sounds kind of picky, but I didn't too much like it. It's not too much of my thing, but I didn't want to change it because it fit her too much, and I didn't want to make it something that didn't fit her. So I decided to just mash together the two outfits that you see in the reference, which is her underwear with her socks. So I thought that was something that was pretty neat and crafty. The shading and the coloring was a little difficult, but eventually I got it. I just needed to use the references a little bit more, so I liked that. The eyes were definitely one of the hardest things for me to do though, because everybody colors their eyes different, and the way she colored her eyes, I wanted to try and copy that, but I didn't like the way it turned out, so I ended up just not going with it and ended up coloring it with different blues that I felt would be good for her. The background was my favorite thing to do though. I didn't know what I wanted to do at first, but then I just started messing around with paintbrushes and different colors, and eventually I found it, and yeah. The next character that we have up, her name is Violet, and she belongs to an Instagram and YouTube artist named Jello Squid. I have actually looked up to Jello Squid ever since I found her channel a few years ago. She does theater animatics as well. She did one for Hamilton, for Be More Chill, and she actually does a few animation memes with her OCs, and I find them just amazing. She's definitely one of my inspirations. But anyways, this is her OC, Violet. There wasn't much information that I could find about this character, besides what was on the reference sheet. She seems like a very lovable and a very cute and charming girl. She has a boyfriend named Matthew. I'm not really sure what her sexuality is. I believe she's straight or bi. When drawing this character, I used a reference that was like from a video that I saw. She was in an animation meme for Boba Date, so I used an old reference instead of using what was given to me at the time, and that was a mistake on my part. But even though this wasn't as good as the others were, I ended up liking this one a lot more. I actually did a few redraws, but this one was actually on my mind even though it wasn't the greatest, which is why I decided to keep this one in today's video. In the reference I saw, she roller skates, and I wanted to involve that as well, and I wanted to give her like a flowy skirt to show that she's skating, because I've actually roller skate myself and I know how cool and fun it is when you do the skating. When looking at a few of her older videos for inspiration or to get an idea of how I wanted to draw her, I saw where she was getting ready for a date that she had her hair in a braid, and I thought that would be a good idea for her hair. I thought it was kind of cute. The bow I just randomly tossed in there to give it something that matched with her roller skates. I tried writing like a cute catchphrase like cutie with a need for speed, but my handwriting sucks. I just didn't want to type it, so I would rather like have my handwriting in there. The eyes and the hair were the hardest thing for me to do because I'm not really used to drawing in that style, and she had changed it, so I didn't really know what to do, but I ended up just figuring my way out later on. My favorite thing about this piece must definitely be the pose, and I want to say the background. The background was very cute and I feel like it matched her a lot. Also, kudos to me because this was my first time actually drawing roller skates, believe it or not, and I'm so proud of how they turned out. I like them a lot. And that concludes today's Draw This in Your Style challenge. I had a lot of fun drawing these characters. They were so pretty and so unique and different in their own way, and the creators were so nice, and I hope this is a wonderful surprise for them. I hope they like them as much as I liked drawing these characters. This concludes today's video. Thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps me out a lot and it lets me know that you enjoy the content that I post. If you want to see more content like this in the future or anything else that I post, subscribe and turn on post notifications so when I do update or upload a new video, you don't have to worry about missing out on anything. Up on the screen, you see my Instagram and my Twitter. They will also be linked down in the description below along with some other social medias. Leave me some critiques in the comments and you can DM me if you want. My DMs are always open. With that being said, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and I'll see you in the next video.